What's good in the neighborhood? It's 9 to noon. Billy Schmid, Armin Sarian inside the iHeart Megaplex studios. John Kuhn with all of you on the NicolaLaw.com talk and text line. It is a beautiful, fast Friday in the good land. We're back in the saddle. We're back in the studio. We'll be back at practice coming up next week. We'll have plenty of conversation from Packers practice, what we saw after the microphones got turned off, especially into the kicking game that was hot to talk about, John Kuhn, as luckily, right as we frantically yesterday tore down the set, made sure that we were getting and safely securing all of the gear, making sure everything was in tip-top shape. We caught a couple of stray raindrops, but other than that, all the weather disasterists on the NicolaLaw.com talking text line yesterday on our final day at practice from Rainitzke Field, kind of a swing and a miss. It ended up being nice there on the perch once we were done.
It held out. It held out for 8 hours, and then Green Bay got 2 inches of rain at 8 p.m. At 8 p.m. So we looked at yesterday. It just hold. It held off like Mel Gibson in Braveheart, right? It held off as long as it could, and that was good for us because we got to see the rest of practice and for Mike Keller because he had to do his show with Nick Crossover.
Tough for him.
But it did feel like there was a moment there. Wayne and I were holding down the tent, thinking this thing, if it blows any harder, one of us is getting lifted in the air.
Yeah, we're going to be in some serious peril.
It was starting to get something serious, but the weather held out. That was great. And we got to see some good and some not so good in the kicking game. So the kicking conversation is back, Armin Sarian. The kicking conversation
it's back at it for another year. And that I feel like that's an annual tradition now.
Well,
it's a fall tradition to have kicking not a controversy, but
conversation. Now I think a kicking competition is in full go at Packers practice now.
Right. If nothing else, this thing is heated up to a super spicy General Chow's chicken type thing. This is fired up, spicy right now. And you know, we talked about it earlier in the week. What would happen if they both continued down this trajectory of both being, pretty solid, both being fairly accurate? Going into yesterday, I think Anders missed 2 kicks and Greg Joseph missed 1. And yesterday there was a day where a guy really separated himself, and that guy was Greg Joseph.
Yeah, it goes 7 of 7 for Greg Joseph, 4 of 7 for Carlson in their back and forth yesterday. And John, while we were watching it and it's happening in real time, you can start feeling the swing just a little bit, not just of the right legs from the 2 kickers, but like when Greg Joseph starts and then Anders Carlson has to follow. It's like when you're playing horse and you can quickly feel the slide going for somebody else, right? They were playing pig yesterday. If that was the game, Greg Joseph won because he was able to make in front of Anders Carlson 3 different times. And the pressure was there. You could feel it. One of the kicks Joseph made, which I think was maybe the bigger wow moment, was the 58-yarder after the 2-minute drill, John.
Boomed it.
Wow.
There was a little breeze behind him.
Yeah.
There was a little breeze behind him, but he absolutely boomed that thing.
So he kind of set his flag in the ground in that sense.
Well, because I think when people just right away think of the conversation, one of the things that Anders Carlson had a leg up on, so to speak, you thought of on paper was the strength of his leg.
Yes.
And Greg Joseph maybe answered a little bit of that question right there. And John, then last night, first preseason football game of 2024 happens. And we've been able to see this slowly start to ease its way in at Packers practice. We've been talking about it a bunch of the new kickoff rules. That is going to be somewhat of a wash with the two because they both seem like they can expertly place it. And last night, we got to see it in action for the first time with the Bears and Texans in that Hall of Fame game, which luckily they only made us watch like 40 plus minutes of. We didn't have to watch all 60 minutes of the Hall of Fame game last night.
You watched
suspended at 3:31 in the third quarter due to rain and thunderstorms.
You watched for the 31st point to hit, and then that was pretty much what people wanted to see. Then they were like, all right, we're gonna have to call this. We can call this game.
But that also, Armin, that's tough. If you were sitting there just watching for the 31st point to hit, most sports books voided all wagers yesterday.
Yeah, that's interesting, huh? That's one to for someone to get mad about or debate about. If
so if you hit the over, isn't that done? Isn't that said and done? That's an interesting one. If you hit the over, you hit the over.
That's
so it's kind of wild that all bets would be void. I mean, obviously my Texans -2, that can't possibly stand because they had about 18, 19 minutes left there. So if you have an over though, 38 points there in the third quarter before play is suspended, I think that one should count.
They paid out for first half wagers in anything that invested fully. The only way that you could use from all the investigative reporting that I did on it, 55 minutes of action is when all bets can be deemed legitimate for the full game. And obviously they only played like 40 something, 42, 43. So whatever ends up being, no case as to what the result was. We just wipe all of those away. Very interesting. Also, interesting that we're investing on preseason football, but it's America in 2024.
That's normal.
You know we're going to do that.
Yeah, that's absolutely normal.
That's going to happen.
But it's going to happen. Just watching for the new kickoff rule guys last night, from the parts that I watched, it felt normal, like a normal kickoff to me. I mean, at least I know there's going to be more to it when more trials take place in terms of more kickoffs and stuff, but I see that was Sims, the first one to return the kick, and it just felt like a normal kickoff return. I'm like, okay, I can get behind this if it feels like football again.
If you remove your eyes from the kicker being by himself all the way back there, if you remove your eyes until the ball is caught, like the camera panning and then seeing the two lines of guys, if you remove your eyes from just that first portion of what the kickoff used to be, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know. And now it's so funny that the NFL went from basically making every rule there was to not eliminate, but discourage teams from returning kicks to now you are so discouraged from not returning kicks that we're going to see kickoff damn near every single time. I mean, think about this. The ball comes out to I'm still trying to get every little nuance. If you kick a touchback, if you kick it through the end zone, Billy, does it go to the 35 or the 40? 35?
You kick the any kick into the end zone. Hold on one here. I had it here. So if it kicks short of
35, I think if you kick it into the end zone, if you kick it through the end zone, old school, hey, we're not letting you return it. We're not taking
kick hits in the end zone, stays in bounds, returned or down, goes to the 30-yard line.
That one's a 30. But okay, so that's hitting the end zone, stays about. What about one that kicks through the end zone, all the way through it?
Any kick that goes out the back of the end zone goes to the 30-yard line.
So everything goes to 30-yard line.
Any kick that hits in the landing zone, then goes into the end zone, must be returned or down by the receiving team. If downed for a touchback, that goes to the 20. So if it bounces in the landing zone, then is downed in the end zone, 20. Otherwise, goes to the 30. Only time that it doesn't go to the 30 is when it goes to the 40. That's if a kick lands short of the landing zone or out of bounds.
Yes. Okay. Now I got it. See, what it was XFL and USFL had it going to the 35. If you kick the touchback, they had it going to the 35. NFL, we don't want it to be that severe yet. We don't want to make crazy tsunami waves. We just want to make little waves to encourage these kickoff returns. So at the end of games, will you give them the ball at the 30? Will you give them the ball at the 30 with a touchback, kicking it through the end zone because there's a minute left and you're up by 6? If you're up by 6 with a minute left, will you take your chances with your defense from the 30-yard line?
And you believe in your coverage team, right?
What if you're up by 3
right,
with 30 seconds left? Will you then kick it through the end zone, or are you going to kick this thing again? And the other kind of side note of this thing that teams are going to have to figure out is you would have waves. It would be a natural wave type thing because guys are not all the exact same speed running from the opposite 35-yard line. But now everybody is starting at the 40-yard line together. So how do you get those different depths, right? How do you get the safety hanging back just a hair behind everybody else to fill in the gaps on the return? And who is going to be the actual penetrators? The penetrators used to be the fastest guys on the kickoff team. Why?
Right, the gunners,
because they would be the first ones down there and they would penetrate and then everybody would play off of them. Well, now if you have penetrators, teams know who the penetrators are, so they can step up and try and stop them. So many different fascinating combinations of how this is going to be coached and counter coached. And I can't help it. I had a blast watching it last night.
So it tells me the product will be better then. If there's this much strategy decision and talking about it and interesting, thinking about it, it should make the product better.
Well, if people get out of their norms and just allow themselves to enjoy it. Cause like
I agree. I know
That's
what
how
you're
I
saying.
feel about college football.
Yeah.
Right? Like today, officially, the 4 teams from the West Coast, UCLA, USC, Oregon, Washington, come into the Big Ten.
Okay, right.
Oh,
The
wait,
12
today is the official day?
It
Today's
starts
the official
today.
day.
Hey, welcome.
Welcome to the Big Ten.
Well,
Welcome, Pac-12 flunkies, and joining the
Yep.
Big
Welcome
Big
today.
10,
Well,
the Big 18. Welcome to the Big
exactly.
18.
And I know the ACC inducted or not inducted or welcomed their new members recently too, because I think that
Yeah, and Texas did. I think on July 1st
Okay.
was the day that they were first there.
'cause the reason I know is funny, and I'll let you get. I don't want to get too off
I
topic.
never want to show up to the party too early.
Nope.
No,
Nope.
never. But the ACC
Showing up right before the regular season. Hey, guys, I'm here. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you don't want to show up too
Fashionably late.
but you don't want to show up too early either. You want to.
You
wanna
woke
that's
up-
what
You
we
look
said about it.
thirsty. You look desperate. You
Sure,
should.
exactly. You don't want to be the first one there. Plus, it's rude to your guests. You know, they're not ready for you yet. But I was just going to make the joke.
I don't know about that.
Well, if you show up a half hour early to the party,
Well,
I do that
first, you're the
sometimes.
guest.
I actually, if I
Well,
no, you're the guest.
yeah,
You're host.
making the
on
host
this
Oh,
show.
uncomfortable, yeah.
I said it wrong.
If
I said
I
it wrong.
like the host that I'm going to, I like to show up a little early before everybody else gets there. I want to get a little,
Well, but are you going to
little
try to
one-on-one
help?
conversation.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
not helping.
Good,
I'm just
good,
sitting there.
good, good.
I'm
Yes.
You're
I'm
hanging out.
applying comedic, content for them as they are doing their last little things. And sometimes you catch them and they're like, "I'm not even changed yet." Well, go ahead, go change. I'll
Yeah,
sit
you got
right here
time.
with-
Don't worry about it.
You also want to
Come
feel
on,
like
put my feet up for.
you also want to feel like you have the VIP package, that you bought the extra package. Like, I'm here early because I'm one of your best friends and we're hanging out.
Sure.
We're not like the general admission guests.
like that one guy that went viral for putting the packages together as to what kind of Vegas experience you could get when he moved out there and his
Oh,
friends kept flying out here.
That was great.
Listen, you can get peak Vegas
That was great.
experience.
Yeah.
$2,500 you're paying me. No, but you woke up today in a world where the Big Ten has 18 football teams stretching from Piscataway, New Jersey to Seattle, Washington. The Big 12 has 16 football teams from Orlando to Provo, Utah. Atlantic Coast Conference, the ACC has 17 football teams from Miami to Stanford.
Palo Alto.
And the Pac-12 has 2 schools.
Oh, that's what we grew up loving about
Yes.
college football, right, Billy? About
However,
sports, huh?
yes, but
I'm going to act
to
like
this
an old guy here.
Yeah, but to this point, you're going to have 12 team playoffs. You're going to have more teams feel and actually have a legitimate chance to win the college football national championship than ever before. I think it's going to be great. However,
the playoffs will be great.
however, it's going to be different. Just like Super 70 Sports, where a lot of people love that Twitter account yesterday.
love it.
They love that account, right? It is an absolute banger. It's always the number one. They always hit everything out of the park. I'm not saying this is worse than a million touchbacks, but I don't know, man. And just post the video to yesterday's opening kickoff, first kickoff of the dynamic rule. I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to work. Like John said, if you just take away that it's
what did
different.
Super 70? And I'm with you. Super 70 is one of the greatest follows you can
It's a
have.
fun follow.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. Yeah.
Said,
but-
I'm not saying it's worse than a million touchbacks, but I don't know, man. So saying that, I don't know that this
Okay.
is worse than them just booting it out of the back of the end zone.
but
and
they're
over.
but their
Okay, I spent
brand
about
is
2
to-
hours. I spent about 2 hours in the car last night. I listened to a preseason game on the air, right?
There
That's
we
what I
go.
was
Yep.
listening to. I was listening to James Lofton, and I forget, we know James,
Mm-hmm.
and I forget who the play-by-play guy was, but it was for Westwood One, and I was listening to them. And they interviewed everybody who got in. Listening to Julius Peppers get interviewed about going into the Hall of Fame, that was incredible.
That'd be
Listening
awesome.
to Andre Johnson. By the way, did you guys know Andre Johnson was the conference champion in the 100 and the 60 when he was in college?
Wow, that's amazing.
At 230 pounds.
That's amazing. Yeah.
No wonder he was a stud wide receiver. So Dwight Freeney was incredible. Did not start when he first got to the Colts. It took an injury. He Wally pipped the starter.
The 60. They ran the 60 for
Yeah.
men's, huh?
Well,
wow.
I think that's an indoor.
Oh, man.
track
Oh, is it?
type of
Okay.
thing,
Okay.
60. Anyways, Armin, my point was they asked every single one of these guys, every single Hall of Famer, what do you think about this new kickoff return? Devin Hester was the only one I didn't get to hear because I think he went in the second half or so. They all said, I like it. It's weird. We all like football the way it used to be.
Sure.
If every Hall of Famer likes football the way that it used to be, with every rule, the way that it used to be, it's yes, the game has changed. It has
Mhm.
changed immensely.
the tradition of it, right?
But these guys that played these games, these guys that invested their lives into these games and traditionally like the games that they were, if they're getting on board saying it's weird, but man, there's something to it. It's better than nothing. It's better than just kicking it through the end zone. I mean, that's the sentiment that I'm getting from just about everybody.
Yeah, and I don't know how that's not the case, how that's not the take, right? Like how that's not the take when it's arguably the most exciting play in the game. Being able to have all 11 right there. Sure, it looks different. It absolutely does. There's a lot of things that look different in 2024, right? I watched my favorite basketball team win a championship with a bunch of dudes on the sidelines with masks on their face. And there being no fans behind them, but NBA logoed backdrops.
Sure.
Right? Like things are going to appear differently in different years. However, if you're going to save this part of it, and John, this is the other aspect of it that nobody really wanted to discuss because the NFL is this multi-billion dollar industry. It's saving some coaches' jobs because at some point, if you were just eliminating kickoffs, okay, well, kickoff return, that's 2 of the 4 things that our special teams coordinator was in charge of. We don't need assistant special teams guys anymore. If you only have 2 things instead of 4,
what I think they were getting close to going to? I think they were getting close to eliminating kickoff and kickoff return and just doing punt.
Yeah.
I think that was,
so that
if not
worse.
this,
that would have been worse.
Would have been far worse.
25-yard line and go.
It would have been a lot worse.
So
but I
you
think
have to be thankful for that.
I think what they would have done, Billy, it would have been a punt from like your own 40 is what it would have been.
Oh, no, they were going to put the ball at 25 and that's it.
Started at the 25? No, I think instead of getting, that's another option too.
Yeah.
Like these options were being tossed around, but one of the options being thrown around for the kickoff was, what if we just do a punt? Where punt is far safer than the kickoff because analytics say it is. So why don't we just do punt? So we were close to just having a punt. I think this it saves the play. It saves the play.
Sure.
Why? It saves the play because we were never going to go back to the old kickoff, which was the most fascinating play in all of sports, quite possibly. It was the old kickoff with choo-choo trains running down at the 5, taking on some wedges. Yeah, okay, we got to get rid of that. There's nothing good about running 50 yards at 4.5 and then running into 600 pounds worth of men. That's not good.
Yes.
Okay, so
we can correct that.
And if we can't just live with eliminating the double teams or the wedge, and we're still going to allow these choo-choo trains to run down the field this fast. If we can't handle that one, this is the next best thing. It's the next best thing.
So it's like that whole thing, like, Mom, that's not the bike I wanted. Well, this is the bike you're going to get.
This is what you're getting.
It's this or nothing. It's better than nothing, right? Well, Mom, I wanted the Nike or the Spalding indoor-outdoor basketball. Well, I'm getting you the Voight.
Yeah, are you going to take the ball?
Yeah,
are you going to take the ball?
Yeah. You're taking
you
the
get the ball or nothing.
Right.
You get the ball or I'll take the thing.
By the way, John, you mentioned Hester. This quote was about it last night. He said, I'm watching it, man. I'm surprised that we're not seeing more big runs. You know, that's shocking, but hey, it's the first game. So I figure a lot of coaches are going to evaluate the game, try and figure out what they can do to get some more big plays. But right now,
look at him. Look at him still even today. He's like,
no one scored.
Why are we not scoring touchdowns here? This looks easy.
It's the first one.
I mean, this guy, the first game ever, the first kickoff returns ever in this new model. He's like, why are you not scoring touchdowns? I only did it 13 times. And what's wrong with you?
Be honest, I don't know why they can't run like me. I don't know what the problem.
Yeah, we got to get Dion's take on this. Why is no one housing anything? No one's high stepping from the 25 yet.
Okay,
right now it's kind of shaky. He says, I don't know what that means.
So what happens? Okay, so he's evaluating it from the kickoff return. What happens every training camp between offense and defense? Who's ahead of the curve?
Oh yeah, defense always ahead. Oh yeah,
defense. So that type of, you can be aggressive and that will overcome for any type of coaching that you're trying to figure out in this play that's never been coached before. It's never been coached before. It's never been ran before. It's never been played before. So obviously the defenses are going to be ahead. The kickoff teams are going to be ahead. Yeah, there will be a special teams coach.
Well, it's still rare
that figures
out
there will be a special teams coach that is first to figure out a wrinkle.
Yeah, right.
And whatever that wrinkle is, to start popping up open holes and having these guys run through it like it's some sort of power play. Every coach will mimic it, and we will start seeing returns all over these kickoff returns.
Yeah, the athletes are too good for there not to be kicks housed on this new rule. I don't believe it. That was 414-405 had that he said, I think teams are also going to keep some returns vanilla until the regular season. But as the year goes on, we're going to see a lot more of those plays. Some might have it in the bag, John, just waiting.
Yeah, but the problem is,
do it now.
The problem is you've never ran these before. So if you have something in the bag,
Coach, I know this is going to work. Just
it
trust
could
me.
be a dud.
Just trust
You
me. It's going to work, Coach.
You got to try something in the preseason because you don't want game one being, this is the one we got in the bag. Tackled on the 10, fumble. What? That was what we had in the bag. Now we have nothing.
It's still rare to get big returns, even on regular kickoffs. So just because there wasn't one doesn't prove it doesn't work.
Well, Devin Hester's like, dude, I would have had 2 by now.
Hey, man, I want to go back and return them. That's probably what he's thinking.
That's awesome.
Do you guys remember I used to do it all the time? I mean, I used to, I don't know why there's not more big runs. It was easy for me. I don't know why guys aren't doing it.
I would love to be able to watch that. That would be, remember they used to have the Michael Vick experience? They should have had the Devin Hester experience where you actually get to feel what it's like to have 11 of the biggest human beings running down at you and just juke out every single one.
Yeah,
of them.
and then get in the Hall of Fame for being a specialist. That would have been the experience.
This guy. All right. Here you go. You and JB in the 920 already gatekeeping the Hall of Fame from last night. Patrick Willis having a 7-year career and getting in is an absolute travesty and an injustice.
Well,
but he also said it's because Sterling Sharp is not being in.
Where's Sterling?
If Patrick Willis is going to get in with a 7-year career, Sterling Sharp needs to be in.
Well, yes. Patrick Willis was the best at his position for those 8 years.
Yeah, he was a savage.
Sterling was close, John.
I'm not saying Sterling should.
Okay.
I'm just saying that Patrick Willis should be.
Oh, okay.
He was the best at his position in those 8 years. Said that he wanted to go 10, but his body just wouldn't let him do it anymore. That was another interesting thing. He really wanted to get to 10. You want to know a guy who's grateful for his career, for his 8 years? Patrick Willis. I will watch his interview tomorrow or when is that, Saturday? Is it tonight or is it Saturday?
Probably, I think it is tonight. You know what, dude? They keep changing this stuff around every single year.
Yeah.
Then Leroy's was like, he was the first one on Saturday, and I damn near missed it because it was at like noon on a Saturday. Well, people aren't, doing stuff today. Crazy idea. Also, though, with Baselli.
Saturday.
Yeah. So it starts at noon on Saturday then?
It's just says Saturday. Yes, noon Saturday. Yes.
Okay. Well, because if
noon Eastern, sorry.
Man, Tony Baselli gets in 7, 8, 9 years. You see Patrick Willis get in that early. It is getting closer to Sterling Sharp getting in.
And only because I feel it's only because so many people have kind of rung the bell for it and shouted 100%. From the rooftops. They like wanted to forget about this guy.
It'll help.
It's a good 3-year stretch. You put his numbers up to Jerry Rice's, and they're not much different.
Armin, I think Sterling should get it.
I know.
But it's
I've said that before.
I know.
I think it's getting closer.
Why does it have to be one guy or the other? Can't it be both?
You're right. You're right. It doesn't have to be mutually exclusive. It can be both. That's a good point.
The thing is, in the NFL, there's actual rules to the Hall of Fame. We elect a certain amount of people every year, and we actually elect them. We actually put them in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Unlike baseball, where they're like, oh, yeah, there's 5 or 6 years. Yeah, no, we're not even going to do it. Don't even worry about it. Basketball, just let everybody in.
Well,
football,
basketball, yes.
Understand.
The Basketball Hall of Fame, everybody's in that. I agree with you on that. Mitch Richmond's in the Basketball Hall of Fame.
Well, I mean, I thought you were going to say Harold Baines is in the Baseball Hall of Fame, so it's really not that big of a deal.
Well, we don't have enough time in this segment.
The Basketball Hall of Fame is different. The Basketball Hall of Fame is different. We found that out.
I do have a lot of opinions on this, but I don't want to,
I got his blood boiling.
Can we get him? Can we get him? What about,
I don't know.
What about Barry Bonds in the Baseball Hall of Fame?
Barry Bonds is one of the best players ever.
No,
even if you take out the steroids, ever. Whether or not you feel
you got to go with fun ones, John. What about Joe Mauer, first ballot Hall of Famer?
You changed my opinion on that, okay, Billy? A little bit. I'll give you credit. At first, I was like, "Why is Joe Mauer first ballot Hall of Famer?" And you did change my opinion on that when I looked deeper at the numbers.
It's a lot of fun. 414-799-1973. So much fun to be had all day today on this beautiful Friday. Armin Sarian's stewing. Just go get some Harold Baines numbers and tell me that guy wasn't a model of consistency.
Yeah, he's a compiler. He was a consistent compiler.
Model of consistency. We'll talk about that more with Paul Wagner coming up in about 35 minutes from right now. Injury in the NFL at the quarterback spot that when you start looking at some of the big names, they're already going down at the quarterback spot. And oh, by the way, department, Simone Biles, golden again.
Let's go, Simone.
We'll discuss that coming up on the other side. We had the era conversation yesterday. And just might be our era. It's 9 to noon on the game. 9 to noon on the game. Man, back in mid-season form is our guy Armin Sari, and NicoleLaw.com talking sex line is open for you. John Coons right there. I'm Billy Schmid.
You think it's mid-season form?
That was pretty electric right there coming back from the break. He had me rolling.
But you know what I think? I don't think it's mid-season form. I think it's like back from the All-Star break form, right? Like he left, and now he's like, hey,
middle of the season.
Okay, maybe not the All-Star. Maybe he's coming back into the regular season from an injury.
Sure, coming off the IL.
Coming off an injury.
Like that,
He's coming in so hot. He's got what we call the fresh legs. He's got fresh legs out here running around. Everybody else tired. They've been practicing. They've been playing. Coming back. He's fresh.
Pup list guy. How about that? Coming off the pup list and
you've been working off the working in there with the rehab group inside in the Don Hudson Center. We're all out here sweating, hurting.
I've been waiting a couple weeks to make Tyrese Halliburton jokes. Okay, Billy.
Golly, we're watching archery right now, which is an electric factory in the Olympics.
Awesome.
This is outstanding. Now, I appreciate the bow and arrow archery more than whatever the airsoft gun shooting was that I witnessed.
Look at how far this is.
It's amazing.
This has got to be 80 yards
at least. And there, I just want to make sure. Is this Indonesia?
Oh, she's got a heart monitor.
I think it's
India.
73 beats per minute.
I think it's India.
Is
it India? Okay.
Yeah.
My man with the shades on from India is absolutely slaying.
Oh yeah,
he is dotting tens left and right. And then our American is walking up. He's got the hair flipping out of the beautiful dad hat. Ellison is giving some pointers as his co-ed partner is lining up the bow right now. I mean, I am loving watching this.
Oh, this is great.
This is the best Olympic sport there is.
And I said that the thing about these Olympians that a lot of us don't know about, maybe like the discus throwers, archery.
Now I'm in.
I said, are these like the fringe Olympians? And you're right, Billy. No one's more fringe Olympian than Tyrese Halliburton anyway. My man's there for the free shirts. All right.
Well, Armin's like, if you're one of these fringe Olympians, you're taking all the gear you can, right? I'm like, no, I mean, listen, NBA players do the same thing. Tyrese Halliburton, maybe fringe guy because he finally.
Did you guys find it funny last night
when
they showed the basketball team at the gymnast at the
right? Durant was
I saw that.
Did you not find it interesting that Simone, when she got gold for the all around last night, which was super electric?
So awesome!
That was even knowing the outcome.
My heart was beating.
It was so incredible.
Yeah.
But did you notice all the basketball? Every single one of them, except Durant, had their phone out recording her.
Yeah.
Everything we know about Durant says he should be the one of anybody to have his phone out. And he was doing it. He was just living there, watching, applauding. Man, Simone Biles, incredible. Super pumped for Suni Lee as well to come back and get that bronze there, Armin.
That was amazing. Yeah.
Wasn't that incredible? And
incredible
now,
stuff.
What is it? Every year since 2004. And
it's ours.
I loved Mike Tirico's intro to the national anthem at the end when he goes, all the attention in a sport where everything gets overshadowed by Simone, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
Give Suni Lee her flowers because of being able to carry that torch. The 1 year that Simone had the twisties, Suni Lee carried that for the U.S. and allowed this 5 or 6 straight now, 5 or 6 straight for the Americans here to hold the all around
6
gold. And Suni Lee, give her flowers because she did that then, and she stamped it with the bronze this time around. And are we sure Simone's 27? Are we sure she can't do this at 31?
Well, I asked
she is hands down.
She's the best,
hands down, not even close. Better than number 2. Can she not? And Andre pushed her last night.
She did. And after bars, Simone kind of had to rescue it. It wasn't a walk in the park. Simone made an error on bars, so it kind of opened the door. But the thing is, if Simone Biles hits her routines with relative ease and no big mistakes, she will beat everybody because the difficulty of what she does is so much higher than everybody.
Are we sure she can't do this at 31?
I know she could do it. I'm not sure she can't. In fact, I bet she could. I don't know if she will, but that's the first thing I asked too. I mean, at 31, because it's already been 27 is already considered traditionally the culture of gymnastics so old, even though they're proving
there have been gymnasts to hit 30s though, Armin,
but not to compete to that level, right?
Not at gold.
Yeah, so I don't know. That would be a tall task. It'd be amazing.
But
to watch
she's
her try.
winning these things by 2 points.
I'm sure she can. I'm sure she can ask herself,
Armin, 2 points is a 28-point blowout in the NFL.
It's huge. It's absolutely a monster margin. She's doing stuff that we haven't seen other gymnasts do, and that's what makes her so impressive, so incredible. I'm glad you mentioned Suni Lee, John. Her finding a way to get herself on the bronze last night after being 7th after the first rotation was huge. She had come back from She has kidney diseases. She had to figure out
that was crazy.
She had to come back from those.
Gained
she
like,
said
40 pounds in like 3 days or something.
They couldn't diagnose her for a while. Like a year ago, she was rotting away in bed or something. So it's got to feel amazing for her to be able to come back.
They both.
Wow.
Simone
Awesome.
and Suni Lee, they both missed 2 years of training.
Yeah.
They both missed 2 years of training following the last Olympics into this one, and both able to reach the medal stand in the all-around gymnast of the world. That is incredible in its own right.
It was awesome.
Man, Simone just flies through the air. She's so much more explosive. She's like what we used to say in the NFL. She's got bunnies. She can jump so much higher, and she has so much more explosion than everybody else. I think she could do it at 31.
Right.
But another part I thought was incredible last night, and Armin, you tell me, and Billy, if you watched it too, when Suni hits her first pass on the floor, the smile she threw out there, Armin, was incredible.
Oh, yeah.
That's what sports is about.
That is. She knew she had to hit it. She knew she landed it. She knew that was really, really important, obviously, for the rest of her routine. I mean, those tumbling passes and the floor exercise are where a lot of the points come from. If you can hit that, it gives yourself confidence. You know you have that big first skill in the bag. And that smile was just so awesome to see.
Hey, Armin, Thomas and Onalaska on the Talking Text Line's got some stats for you.
Right,
I can't read them because my Talking Text Line is still down.
No, and
I can
he's
see
on
like I can see like the first couple words.
So I've been reading. Yeah. I was reading about this young lady who was in Germany. Oksana. Not even gonna try to pronounce her last name.
Oksana Alexandrovna Chusnovitina.
Man, it was so close. You were so close.
Competed at 48 years old last year as the oldest competitor in women's Olympics gymnastics. Then she also announced this year that she was going to miss it. And people are like, geez, Louise, you're going to do it at 52?
It's impressive to be able to compete at that age, no doubt about it. But that's different than being able to compete.
Did she run from the grind? At this point in time, she's just an honorary member of whatever team she's on. Which team was she on?
It was like
I can't even pronounce it.
Like
sorry,
Belarus or something like that. Right?
No, there was something different because she had originally. Again, I was reading a decent amount of it.
Keep in mind, you got to qualify for these things.
Yeah, but if you qualify from a
can't
country,
we just put her in as an exemption though?
Uzbekistan.
Yeah,
so I don't know that there's a big contingent.
But she moved to Germany in 2002. And then was a part of the German Federation and represented them in.
But don't you still
2006
have to
through 2012?
You do have to qualify, John, but the process is a little bit different. If you're competing for a country that's no other gymnast, you can at least qualify to be in some trial. I mean, that's what she was in the trials. She might have attended the Olympics. Like there was an Armenian gymnast that attended the Olympics, did routines, was like 39th or something like that. Like, you know, it's like the Armenian bobsled team in 2002. It was like two guys from California.
It's like what that guy was trying to say.
No. I want to hear more about this Armenian bobsled team. This was the movie that was never made.
Right.
They made the Jamaican bobsled team, but they didn't. Cool running.
So you can qualify. Like you don't have to outdo. You can qualify out of a region for a country and still compete and attend the Olympics because it's. But you're not going to be. You still. If you're like 39th. You won't be on TV.
So it's not like track and field. Track and field, you have to have a time. You have to have a distance.
But John,
in order to qualify.
you can probably qualify for a heat fairly easily if there's a country or a region that they qualify from. I don't know the exact process.
So you're telling me I could be an Olympian. I need to get citizenship in one of these other small countries.
Yes, that's the whole
Go
key.
over there and throw the discus 180 feet like I did in high school, and I'll be good enough to get DFL at the Olympics. Right. Good enough to go.
That's what it is, I think, for a lot. Yeah, there was Armenian bobsled, 2-man bobsled team in 2000 in Salt Lake. And they were all there too. As Dan and Yorgo. So are you
saying the Olympics are actually kind of watered down?
No, because you're still not going to just get a medal for being like it's not watered down. It's an open competition. It's like saying the U.S. Open is a watered down because the worst guy won't make the cut. You know what I mean? I don't consider it that. You know, I really don't. But yeah, Oksana Chuvnovstvina was there, but she wasn't like qualified.
You stumbled again on the beam. You stumbled again on the beam. You're really close, but every time you do that, I'm going to stand on one foot, pirouette, spin around, and catch myself with. You get a little wiggle. You get a little wiggle.
Balance check. I will never believe that Simone Biles cannot compete elite until I see it. I agree with you, John.
Armin, I believe in 4 years she could win gold. Win it. not
Oh,
compete
I wouldn't
and
put
not
it
be
past her.
close.
Yeah.
I believe she could win it at 31 years old. She is far and away better than the second place finisher.
Yeah, this girl from Brazil though did push her. She was
did.
fairly, but Simone had to make a fairly big error to open the door. You know, she had a whole point deduction on bars for one of her movements that wasn't.
And now
correct.
she's got 3 more events in which she could win here.
Event finals are coming up
Yes,
now.
the
Right.
event finals
Yeah.
are
So if she
coming.
shuts the door, though, why would you come back?
I understand that. I think this was big for her, the redemption thing.
Why
think
is
she
Travis
right?
Kelce coming back for a three-peat? Because it's a three-peat.
Yeah, but that's
You gotta
that's
do
in 1
it.
year.
Well,
That's in 1 year. That's not
well,
4 years.
He's getting paid a lot more to do it.
That's another part of it. Yeah,
Now,
the
she'll
money's
make
a
her
little
money. Now,
different.
Simone will make her money, endorsements and all that stuff. She'll make her money, but it's just a little different of a
Hey,
process.
Hey, call me crazy, but you mean to tell me I could stay in the best shape of my life for 4 more years? I could have fun
Get to or have to.
and do something. Well, get to and have to. Who doesn't like it?
She could get a bigger goat chain. She had the goat necklace last night. She could get a bigger one even.
What do you think she wants to do? You think she wants to stop training and just
Right.
never do anything physical again?
No, but
she
she
might
might
wanna
not. She might
do
not
some
want
other
to
things, have some
compete.
babies?
Yeah, compete like an elite level gymnastics. She might want to like.
You
Have
know
a
what? Here, I got an
career, and
answer
she's
for you.
married
'Cause
now
you-
to Jonathan Owens. You know,
I got an
Yeah.
answer for you because she just did it. Take 2 years off. Tell me how you feel in 2 years,
Right.
and then let's run this back and just really be just
people will ask
put
for it.
that gap for the best
Right.
gymnast of all time. Because hey, this has been 3 Olympics in a row.
Just Brady it. Just go forever and keep
Yes.
adding titles.
I think she can.
Yeah, I think she can too. I wouldn't doubt that she can do it. I don't know that she will, but that will choose to. But we'll see. Hopefully, she can bag a couple more medals in event finals, and then really, she's already the most decorated.
Yeah, she might as well
gymnast.
just shut the box and
Just
win
shut
all
the
gold.
box. She passed Shannon Miller.
Just do
so
that. Sounds easy
just
enough.
keep it up. I mean, Ledecky's got 12, right?
Sure.
I think
Yep.
or 12. But she got her 12th or 13th.
We're getting
and-
smacked in soccer right now, by the way.
Women's or men's?
Men's.
Oh.
Morocco up 3-0 on our U23 team.
Come on, guys.
Quarterfinals.
What are you doing?
Thought that this was going to be it. Thought that the knockout round here in the Olympics was going to be the place where was the United States soccer was going to stand up. Doesn't happen. However, still winning. Come on now, medal count getting better. That gold medal count's getting better too. Only 3 behind China, and there's nobody else in the way. 12-9. So we're going to figure this thing out and end up winning these Summer Olympics because that's what we do here in America. 414-799-1973. It's 9 to noon with Kuhn, Billy, and Harmon. Paul Wagner joins us in 15 minutes on the game. We're going to talk some baseball coming up with Paul Wagner in about 8 minutes from right now. But how about cheers to the Milwaukee Brewers for this just coming out now? The Milwaukee Brewers will be celebrating International Beer Day with a buy one, get one offer on Friday, August 9th.
For beer or tickets?
For beer.
Oh my gosh. Are you serious?
Come on, crack that bad boy
Buy one,
open.
get one beer? Be careful.
Get ready and cheers at American Family Field as the Brewers celebrate International Beer Day.
Let's go. Oh my
The
goodness.
Brewers will celebrate International Beer Day with an exclusive buy one, get one on 16-ounce draft beers of Miller Lite or Coors Light.
All right.
16-ounce cans of Miller Lite or Coors
Ooh,
Light,
tall boys.
as well as High Life.
That's great.
Because it is the champagne of bottled beer in a can. That's what you want. And as well as 12-ounce Vizzy seltzers. Those will be found in the concession area. The celebratory offer is valid from the time the gates open at 5:10 for the 7:10 first pitch through 7:40 p.m. First pitch is set for 7:10. So plenty of tailgating if you want the buy one, get one offer inside instead of sitting outside. And then for the first, inning or so, you'll get that buy one, get one offer. And by that, it sounds like that line at 7:30
Oh my gosh.
is going to be
careful.
unreal.
Be careful. I mean, that's going to be a one.
Everyone from the seats coming up. Come on. You got to grab two. 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 I can only have two. Or even better, somebody just shuttling them back and forth for the first 30 minutes of the game. Hey, man, they're only going to let me get two. I'll walk right back. Hey, man, they're only letting me get two. Sorry. And just stockpiling up underneath his seats over there in section 228.
I think if it was me, you get the beers, you start drinking them, and you get back to the back of the line. By the time you're done.
Yeah, by the time you're done, it's in.
More.
That's fantastic.
No, that's
stuff.
pretty good. Pretty good. All right, track and field. Can we do this real quickly?
Let me hear it.
3 minutes.
Let me hear it.
John, you did a little field back in the day, right?
Well, yeah.
Throwing events, right?
And I did some track too. Damn, don't take it all from me.
Oh,
I mean, I wasn't
you
fast.
were a sprinter.
I ran the 400.
Oh, that's
Listen,
a tough race. That's a tough race.
I ran.
Yeah.
I threw all three events, and then the 400 was a little later in it, and then the 4x4 was the last thing overall. So if we really needed a point, like if we needed a third place point or something like that, because I was not the fastest, but if we needed a third place point and we had our people, do you know how meets work? How they space you out at invitationals and stuff like that, and how teams garner points, Armin?
Somewhat. I'm not 100%.
So you get like
on it.
back in the day, you used to get 5 for first, 3 for second,
Oh,
and
yeah.
1 for third.
1 for third. Okay.
And sometimes I would have to run in there and jump on a 4x4 team
Gotcha.
at the end to try and get that third place point or
Right,
something like
right.
that. So I did run the 400 as well. And God, is that a brutal
race.
Brutal race.
Okay,
That
but
is
discus.
excruciating.
Did you ever throw discus?
I threw a disc, I
All
threw a
right.
shot, I threw jab, I threw them all.
Veronica Fraley today is competing for the United States in the Olympic Games at discus. She tweeted this yesterday. I compete in the Olympic Games tomorrow, and I can't even pay my rent. Frowny emoji. My school only sent about 75% of my rent while they pay football players, parentheses, who haven't won anything, enough to buy new cars and houses. Thumbs down. And she put up a GoFundMe for that. So what do you think,
That's
guys?
outstanding.
Look it up. We got to pay our. And then she tweeted this morning, I did pay my rent this morning with the praying hands.
Glad you did. Thank you.
Mean, what do you think about this? Is this
Damn.
Our own Olympian can't even pay her rent. They don't send enough. It is true. I mean, the inequities of certain sports, obviously, right? We know this. That a lot of these athletes from, I would say, more the fringe niche sports don't get the monetary returns that some get from like the biggest, viewership sports.
Well, they're also not creating those viewership shares and viewership dollars.
Kudos to her in her entrepreneurship because she
Yeah,
got
right.
her rent paid.
Uh-huh.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do. You got to grind sometimes. And if you don't get that NIL from the collective at your school, football players go ahead,
Mhm.
grind any way you know how to grind, even if that is a GoFundMe. I don't really knock on a whole lot of people for how they want to get by, make this stuff happen. But kudos to her. She's competing today in the discus, you say.
And yes, she is competing in the discus today. And apparently, Alexis Ohanian, who is the founder of Reddit, he wanted to split it with Flavor Flav. He tweeted back to her, "Come on, we'll split with Flavor Flav." And it looks like, if I'm not wrong, he Venmo'd her 7 G's. So there you go.
Did Flavor
Jeez.
Flav? Did Flavor Flav at chip in? Did
I
he
don't
match?
have
Did
any-
he- Did he have the donor match?
I don't have anything from Flav yet, so I don't know.
He's got to sell 1 or 2 clocks before he probably can.
Well, 7
Right.
grand's hopefully enough to get her rent paid.
think
I
if
would
you-
think it should be.
I
Yeah.
think
So
that's
if
couch
not,
cushion
she's
money.
probably living outside of her means.
I
Yeah.
think for Alexis, that's couch cushion money. He's married to Serena. I think they have a good combined income.
Oh, you think that'll work out?
Probably good.
Yeah, I think
Well,
they're good for it.
Yeah,
I think they're good for the cash. 414-799-1973. I got another NIL story to share with you from a team in the state coming up later in the program. But coming up next, we'll talk some crew. Paul Wagner joins 9 to noon to start up hour 2 right after this. You got the game. 9 to noon on 97.3 The Game, hour 2, back here on the NicolaLaw.com talking text line. Brent from Franklin said, just noticed that my signed Barry Sanders card is on its way. Now I have something signed from Billy Sims and Barry Sanders. Need to remember to bring something for John Kuhn to get a signature of my favorite Green Bay Packer. Let's go. Well, Brent from Franklin, why don't you get a 1994 Pittsburgh Pirate Paul Wagner card or a 1997 Milwaukee Brewer Paul Wagner card? Or if you can find one in circulation, Wags, what if I snagged a 1999 Paul Wagner Cleveland Indians card? Which one would you prefer to sign out of those three if I was able to procure one off the old eBay machine here quickly?
If you can find a Paul Wagner baseball card anywhere that somebody did not throw away and did not put in a plastic sleeve, other than our favorite Tim Allen, I will probably run to you and sign it because nobody saved Paul
now
Wagner.
I got to find one.
Well,
now I
this
got to
guy,
find one.
well, wait a minute. The police.
Are
said-
you telling
the
me
police
these
said-
were
the
only
police said-
used in the back wheel of bicycles for kids in the late 90s, Wags? Is that what you're telling me?
John, they didn't even do that. They just said, forget that. They did something else. They probably put it at the bottom of their ferret cage or their guinea.
Hey, cut that up. Let's make a cushion. Let's make a bed there for the ferret.
Hey, they're selling them on eBay for $1.85.
Let's go.
Let's go. Come on now.
Can you, Armin? Can you get me a couple?
Sure, I'll find a couple. Yeah.
Hey, I want. How many teams? Oh, Brewers.
Brewers, Pirates, and Indians.
Oh, I can get a Wags Indians. That's the rarest one. Armin, I need one of each.
I'm gonna see if they printed one. I hope they did.
You could get a Paul Wagner signed 1996 card on eBay too.
What was
wow,
that? What was
goodness
that?
gracious.
What was that, Wags?
Those Brewer cards.
It's
It's
back
a
underwater again.
small company or a company that was called Pacific. And you got to remember, back in the late 90s,
Right.
baseball cards were huge. I mean, like everybody and their uncle was
Huge.
cards. We'd go to spring training, and a whole day would be. It's not like they do now. They'll take one picture and they just put them on different borders and different refractors and stuff like that. We used to go from station to station, and they'd have a list, and they'd say, "Who are you?" And you'd say, "I'm Paul Wagner." And they go, "Okay, this is what we want you to do because we took an action photo of you at Wrigley, and we're going to put this picture on the back of your card." It was very elaborate back in the day when there were so many companies.
Looking at the 1994 Topps Finest, graded 10. That's the highest grade you can get for a baseball card right here. A number 309 Paul Wagner refractor from 1994, $149.
Not that one, Armin. Don't
Or
get that
best
one.
offer. Or best offer.
Do not get that
No,
one, Armin.
Billy, you got to look. There's a little decimal after that one. I think.
Hey, did you know I saw an autographed Paul Wagner rookie card online here for $14.
There
Are
we
you
go.
sure it's
Come
Paul
on.
Wagner, not
It's-
Paul Wagner?
Well, it says
Is it Paul Wagner?
This
Is there
item-
another baseball
this-
player out there?
this item comes with a certificate of authenticity.
That's what I'm talking
It
about.
guarantees
Oh
the
my God.
authenticity of this hand-signed autograph. So I want to make sure it's guaranteed.
I don't want one with an autograph. I want to get it.
Yeah, you
I
want
never
to get it
under-
autographed.
We talked with Krista Jorgensen at the Packers Pro Shop
Yep.
this week about signatures on items, and everybody wants to buy a signed item. My thing is, why do you want to buy a signed item? Don't you want to get that
the
item
autograph?
signed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wags, don't you think the interaction with the player to get it signed, or the ex-player or the coach, don't you think
This is
that's
awesome.
just as valuable, the actual interaction?
100%. I talk about that a lot, and I know that the availability isn't there for everybody, and I do understand that. But for me, like in my barn, in my barn area where we hunt and stuff, my jerseys are all guys that I played with and I talked to, and I know not everybody has that availability. But for me to walk into a buddy's basement and he's got a Giannis jersey and an Aaron Rodgers jersey, I go, "Oh, hey, where'd you get them?"
Yeah.
"Oh, I bought it online. I go, "Well, what is? I mean, is there really? If anybody has $500 in their pocket, they can go buy whatever jersey they want. There's no story behind it. There's no meaning. Like, I like it when I can say, yeah, I got a Mike Piazza jersey because when I was in New York, me and Mike were walking outside out of Port St. Lucie and the rain started coming down and blah, blah, blah. And the next thing you know, after the next day, I got a jersey signed from him. You know, I got things to say.
Sure.
And I think that's important. I think stories.
Yeah, Wags, do you remember as a kid, did you ever have an interaction with a professional athlete as a kid that you vividly remember? I have two that I vividly remember. I'll get into, but I want to get yours if you had any.
And it was more baseball. It was more baseball. And then I had one basketball player that my dad took me to the old Mecca in Milwaukee when the Bucks were playing there. And my favorite player was a guy number 10 named Bob Dandridge.
Bobby Dandridge.
I remember Bobby Dandridge, and he actually took time and he signed a towel that I had. And man, Bobby Dandridge is my favorite. And then the baseball players, it came weird because I was part of that young grade or that young age where we watched the Brewers 82 team take off. And then some of those guys were so young. I remember talking to, like the Robin Younts and the Paul Mowders and the Dale Swains. And the next thing you know, John, or you guys, now all of a sudden they're my teammates. I'm like, man, when I was a kid, I loved it. There was a guy named Mark Brohard.
Oh, yeah.
Outfield for the Brewers for a couple years. Mark Brohard was the nicest guy. He got released. He ended up being a coach and went somewhere. And I'm like, dude, you were my favorite. He's like, on that team, I was your favorite? I go, yes, you were.
Well,
yeah, I remember growing up, a guy named Robert Jones. Okay, he was a linebacker for the Cowboys. Probably nobody's ever heard of him, but he was a good linebacker. He was a linebacker for a long time, actually, and was with all the Cowboys championship teams, I think, in the 90s. He came to York, Pennsylvania.
Wow.
For a keynote speaker at a York Sports Awards night. And it was really cool to get to meet him at the awards night and talk with him for like 2 minutes. And I am a Cowboys fan in my early teens, like 13, 14. And it left an impression on me like no other, just to be able to talk with him for like 2 minutes. I have a signed card still somewhere of Robert Jones from the 90s. And then in baseball, baseball, the Baltimore Orioles and Cal Ripken Jr.
Sure.
That's a winner right there.
My Uncle Steve used to take us down there for night games at Camden Yards. And I remember one time we stayed after the game. It's a school night. It was in May sometime, and it was a school night. My mom was already like, you need to have them home before midnight. No, we were out there in the parking lot at midnight. We waited until after they did their weight session after the game, Wags. And baseball in the 90s, every game took 3.5 hours. So it's about midnight. And this is pre-Roberto Alomar spit on the umpire, right? So I was still a huge fan of Roberto Alomar. And he comes out and he walks right past us. And it's only me and my Uncle Steve at this point. Every other fan has dissipated and left. And it was only Roberto Alomar, me, and my uncle. He walked right past us into his sports car and drove. And we chased the sports car down the sidewalk. We ran down the sidewalk after him. We ran down the sidewalk after him just to get one signature because that's who and he did. And I just and then Spitgate happened with the umpire. And it was like, all right, that guy's done to me. He's done.
That's awesome.
That's it. Yeah, I remember. Okay, I was at a youth like basketball YMCA camp where there were $2 that came. It was Eric Murdoch, and Vin Baker came. I was like 9. And on the way out, I had a mini Bucks basketball, and my dad was there, and Vin Baker was walking out in the parking lot, and he said, "Vin, can you sign this ball for us?" And he stopped and signed it. And then Eric Murdoch, we were asking to, and he ran and got out of there.
That's awesome.
And so Eric wouldn't sign the ball. Vin Baker would. And guess what? Vin had a much better career than you, Eric Murdoch.
Yeah, take that, Eric Murdoch. And you're going to have an NBA ring. You're going to have a championship ring. Vin Baker does because he did that. And he had time for the people in the city of Milwaukee.
Then I remember the first time I ever met Paul Wagner. And I said, I loved watching you pitch. And you gave me this look, Wags, like, and he said something like,
really?
"What are you, drunk?" or something like that. It was really great. So that was a memorable moment too. One of my favorite players.
That is outstanding.
Everybody says, "Hey, yeah, I like watching you pitch." I go, "Oh, what was it? That 2-for-1 beer night or something?"
Yeah, buy one get one free beer night Friday, August 9th at the Brewers game. Well, Wags, for the first 30 minutes of the game, the first 2 hours of everything before first pitch goes. John will like this one. One of mine was when I was working.
Real quick. John will get this one. So whenever I pitched, in Pittsburgh, it was Icy Light was the hugest seller like in the first 3 innings because everybody just got loaded with it.
Down 4-0. Better get drunk.
Icy Light.
Better start drinking. Yeah, John, my the one that I had was when I was a ball kid for the Bucks, and all of a sudden, right behind the bench, this big dude kept asking me. He goes, "Hey man, can I buy that hat from you?" I'm like, "No, I'm working." "No, come on, dude, let me buy your hat." And then the two guys sitting next to him like, "Come on, man, let him buy your hat. $50." One guy goes, "Hey man, you want to meet Aaron Rodgers?" He knows him. I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, yeah, I'll introduce you. He's right on over there. Sitting behind the Bucks bench trying to buy my hat as the Bucks ball kid.
There you go. From a lineman to a lineman. I mean, I would think you would know who Josh Sitton was.
Didn't know yet who Josh Sitton was.
I had not fully picked it up. I think it was like his second year in the league, and all of a sudden I come back, I'm sitting there, and I asked my boss, I'm like, hey, this guy's trying to buy my hat. He goes, yeah, he plays for the Packers. Go give him a clean one. So then we brought him a new one, and then it was a lot better, and then I got picture taken.
It's funny because like we could have got money for your hat. You could probably
I could have made some cash. Yeah, I could have made some cash.
You should have signed it for him. Here,
That would have been
my
awesome,
hat. I will sign this.
I'm
for
happy
you.
to sign
Hey,
this
congrats,
for you.
man. Don't worry about it. I know you're a fan.
What was so special about the hat that Josh Sitton couldn't go to the pro
It was
shop?
it was one of the cool Bucks mesh ones,
Oh,
right?
okay.
So it fit good.
Yeah.
The flow was really
Yeah,
nice.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was a good one. It was one of the good
Yeah.
ones.
Those were nice in 2010.
Great
You know what I'm
teams
saying?
too. I mean, come on, who didn't want to be Milwaukee at that time?
Hey, John Henson. Come
Everyone
on.
wanted to work hard, play hard. It
That's
was our
right.
city, our team, our town.
John Henson.
I love John.
He's now in media, like all of
Yeah,
us.
like everybody else.
Smart career move. So, Wags, as we get closer and closer to the end of the dog days of summer, the trade deadline comes and goes. We had talked about it a couple of times throughout the week. Some people didn't like the fact that we were like, maybe one additional move might be what we would like to see the Brewers make. The Frankie Montas pickup on Monday, I like it from the fact that you didn't give anything up, seemingly. What's your take on adding at least one more rotation arm? Because they do still have some more reinforcements coming, at least from internal.
Right off the cuff, I wanted them to do more. You have to do more. You look at Frankie. Let's just use Frankie and Aaron Savali. Both look at their last four outings each. About 20 innings. They're 5-inning guys. So analytics and data must show that if I go past, I think they have like a 1.4 or a 1.5 whip too. So Armin, you'll get this.
Yeah.
They don't want. They can't see a hitter 3 times in a lineup.
Mhm.
And if that's the way the Milwaukee Brewers are going to play, they're going to use the strength of their bullpen to take over after the 5th inning, then it's a good move. I just don't think a 5-inning guy plays well as you're trying to make a strong postseason pitch or push, because there's games and there's times when you're going to have to use your high leverage arms in high leverage situations, and you could actually see that the next day. And that is why you want somebody who's got playoff experience that can give you a little bit of length. Hey, any statistic will show you the least, if you use a guy 3 times in a row out of your bullpen, he's going to be least effective usually the 3rd time as he was compared to that first time. So, you need somebody that's going to give you some depth in the game. And it seems like the whole rotation, unfortunately, the way Freddie's been pitching, Colin Ray's got a long year under his belt already. Looks like we have a stable full of 5-inning guys, and that's going to tear as you run down into the dog days, and you're using your bullpen to do that. I needed somebody with length, somebody that could give me 7. If you can give me 21 outs, gosh, that's 6 outs that I can save my bullpen for the next day.
Yeah, and insulating the bullpen was how Matt Arnold apparently had phrased it. Hunter had talked about it a couple of different times. Insulated with maybe one of those guys that could give you like 3 innings, Wags, in the middle relief. They don't even have that guy, unless that's maybe where they think like DL Hall fits in when he comes back. They get Devin Williams, absolutely, but losing McGill, you would think you need somebody to still be able to shrink that gap from the shortening the game down to like the 6th or 5th inning, like they thought maybe they were going to be doing.
And maybe they saw something with Jacob Junis that they didn't like. But, I look at the way he pitched for us. I mean, I know he had a rough one in Cincinnati the other day, but, Jacob was one of those guys. And Joey Weimer, I mean, he was one of the guys that maybe we could have. And look, hindsight's always 20/20, double-edged sword.
Right.
But if Joey Weimer was expendable this year, we had a Sal, we have Garrett, we had Ryan Braun, we have Blake Perkins. Why couldn't Joey have been used? And I look back, what about last year? If Joey doesn't fit into your picture, we know he was a gold glove-ish center fielder. I mean, his WAR was great. We know that, but he couldn't hit. Maybe we could have used his value last year better suited than we did this year. And that's one of the things I kick myself, we should look at.
Wags, what do you think it says to the clubhouse not adding a bat at the trade deadline?
That shows that, hey, we believe in you. We believe in you. We are the Milwaukee Brewers. We know how it's done. Last year, we acquired 2 bats, I believe, with Canna.
And
you know
Santana,
what? They
yeah.
thought you know what? So maybe they see something positive with Riz. Maybe they love Jake Bowers over there at first. I think that's a great combo. Contreras, I mean, the bats are there. The loss of Christian Yelich, you would have thought maybe you're going to look for something for a part-time interim, someone who can give you a spark. But the Milwaukee Brewers decided not to go that way. They're going to live with what they have. Obviously, they're going to comb the free agent market. A lot of teams, as you realize, when you make a trade and the trade deadline comes up, you acquire major league players that need to go on your 40-man roster. This is where Matt Arnold and his staff have to be very, very fine-tuned or fine-tuned coach, whatever you want to call it.
One of them
They
things.
have to find the guys that get DFA because you've got to clear spots on that 40-man roster for these guys to come in. So the Dodgers let's just say the Dodgers bring in 3 or 4 guys to add to the 40-man roster. Can they 60-day DL all of them and keep them on the roster? Probably not. Some talent will be slipped, and that's where the Milwaukee Brewers are going to try to go and get that guy you didn't hear of but can play specifically for the Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah, Wags, I love how you just broke that down. If there's one team that's going to skirt the rules and be able to keep like 68 players on their 40-man roster, I'm going to guess it's going to be the LA Dodgers. It's going to be the one that just found this $70 million loophole that I can just defer all the cash. So we're paying the best player in baseball $2 million up front to play. If anybody's going to skirt them rules, I'm going to guess it's going to be the Dodgers. That part of it, though, I love the waiver deadline. I don't know maybe if baseball forecasted that teams were just going to be outright cutting players and that there still would be some of this movement.
So when you look at where the late draft, so the draft completes, the amateur draft completes July 14th through the 16th. You are adding 20 guys. It's a 20 round. And I don't know about supplemental picks. Maybe some organizations got 22 players, 21 players. The Brewers got an extra pick, obviously, with the Corbin Burns signing. So I don't know how it all played out. But you know what? Those 20 guys plus go into the organization. You can have, I believe, the minor league roster minimum besides injured list and stuff like that is, let's just say, around 165. That pushes 20 guys. Most organizations are reluctant to let go of young talent because they haven't developed yet. Maybe you drafted a high school kid. You want to see another year out of him. Maybe he was out of the 23 draft. So the guys that get pushed out when this 20-man inflection comes in are usually top end, AAA insurance policies. And that's where the Milwaukee Brewers got to do it because these guys aren't going down to AA, but some AA guys may go to AAA. Some AAA guys may hang around, but other guys aren't in the picture at all within this organization. So when those 15 to 20, 10 to 20 guys get DFA'd, released, that's where the Milwaukee Brewers can come in and say, you know what, this guy could be a one-inning guy. You know what, this guy does show power. We can take his strikeouts, but I'll take his power. Hey, I like his speed. Ever since we increased the size of second base and the bases, this guy's stolen base percentage has gone up 63%. You know, maybe we can use him. And that's where Brewer staff scouting at the professional level, not the amateur scouts, but the pro scouts will grab somebody like that.
And that's how we've been successful and have to be, finding that inefficiency of value and here and there and trying to piecemeal it. That's how the Brewers are successful. I think we just have to embrace that.
I got a 1995 Paul Wagner Pittsburgh Pirates Flair Major League Baseball card, and I'm gonna tell you right now,
let's go.
$1 million smile, $1 million smile.
Is that the sideways one?
Yes, it is.
Yes, that's the one.
Smile
is that
right
the
there.
value too?
And Wags, I got to ask you,
That's the one.
this was a mullet. Was this was a mullet in the 90s? Was it not?
It was. We had mullets. We had long hair. We had long pants, and we actually pitched into high top spikes. And I did it because Barry Bonds did it. So we all had
right. And listen,
hey, your favorite. You had to mimic your favorite teammate.
Well, remember, this was
it's like all the kids playing for Greece. Like they all just want to be Giannis because they all
wear
so
shoes.
Much.
They all wear shoes.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, and this was Pittsburgh in '92. You know, mullets were aplenty. Yarmer Yager. You had Mario and all these guys were
Bubby Brister.
Yeah, you had guys with mullets.
I love that mullets are coming back.
I mean, I don't think Neil O'Donnell had a mullet, but what was '92 for the Steelers? They had some, Bubby Brister.
But then I did off-season work there because I lived with the Penguins, And I went in there, and my favorite Steeler of all time, the best guy in the world to me, was a linebacker who had no hair, shaved head, Greg Lloyd.
Greg Lloyd.
Remember Greg Lloyd?
Yeah.
Greg Lloyd was a monster.
He
Levon
almost-
Kirkland was a monster. They had
Yes.
300-pound
He was a
linebackers
great
back
linebacker.
then.
He almost knocked out. He almost knocked out Favre. I remember Lloyd. He laid that big hit on Favre. And
They used to say you can't run through a brick wall. Those two backers could run through brick walls. And I tell you what, if you got on the wrong side of Greg Lloyd or Kirk, man, you're dead. It ain't good. It ain't good.
And that's when Kevin Green was with them too. That was one
Did you
heck of a
do-
linebacker.
It's a wild run.
Did you do a lot of intermingling with the Steelers back in your day with the Pirates?
Yeah, we lived in the same facility. So it was like, that's when, if you remember when the Steelers drafted Cordell Stewart out of
Mhm.
Colorado,
Yep.
Slash.
we got, remember we got that running back out of Texas Tech with the marijuana issue, Bam Moore.
Bam Morris. That's right.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Barry Foster was on that
I
team.
did a lot with those guys, and then I would do when I was there. I would do it with like the defensemen from the Penguins and stuff like that. The lower, obviously Nedved, Yager, and Lemieux and Barrasso and goal. Those guys did their own thing, but I was with the other guys. So yeah, the football players on
The
the
other
lower
guys.
end, the new draft picks, we all lived together.
Man, you got
That's
some times.
awesome.
You got some glory years there.
Yeah.
Wags. Wags,
That's
we need to have a
pro
beer
version
together.
of a dorm. That's
yeah,
awesome.
we need to have some beers together and tell some stories, man, because I love it. I love it.
Even better, you can have those stories.
And then they told me stories. So I get there in '92, and Penguins win the Stanley Cup in '91. And I tell you what, these defensemen, these hockey players, they are not. They are bad animals because
Different
I can
guys,
tell you
different
stories
guys, yes.
I can tell you stories of what they did and what they put into that Stanley Cup.
Oh, yeah.
You would next time you see a Stanley Cup hoisted, you'd be like, oh boy.
Yeah.
What you possibly talking
What,
about?
what about the pasta? What about the spaghetti?
the one
shit
guy-
that was thrown in there.
Guy was eating spaghetti.
Pierogies are in there. That's the good things. Pierogies and beer. That's the nice.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know what you're
Wow.
talking about.
I wanted to be at that party.
Yeah.
I wanted to be at that party that Paul Wagner is at. That sounds like a more better time. John, you talking about having a couple of cold ones, having a couple of great stories with Wags. That's what people can do with Wings with Wags.
Let's go.
And go to DocHounds.com/Wags to sign up for a couple of the opportunities, an exclusive meet and greet, sit down conversation with Paul Wagner before a Doc Hounds game. Amazing seats to the game as well that night. And some fantastic wings. Wags, Fargo, Moorhead, Red Hawks. They about to get these hands this weekend over at WBC Park.
You're right. We swept the team from Gary. I think we're tied with the Milkmen, or else we're ahead for that last playoff spot. Fargo Moorhead's in. They're leading the West. It's a tough. Their stadium's beautiful. I love that campus. They play right next to the Fargo Dome. And
That's awesome.
That campus is pretty nice. If you've never been to North Dakota State, you've never been out there, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're in town this week. We got our hands tough. This is going to be a tough one, but we got to take 2 out of 3 at least. Push for the playoffs through the end. It's Olympic weekend, so every player is wearing Olympic jerseys. Between innings and staff is putting up gold medals. We're seeing performances by swimmers, by gymnasts, and
That's
stuff
awesome.
like that to keep the Olympic theme going. But all jerseys are on live auction. You can buy coaches and players. That all goes to the foundation. Whoa. It's a great cause supporting the Olympics and the USA. It's just great. You all of a sudden randomly will be playing and you'll hear USA chants in the stands.
So
it's kind of it's a surreal situation when you hear that. The Olympics are huge. Proud Americans, proud USAers in the stands and everywhere about. And one of our proud Americans was the other night was Leroy Butler. Leroy Butler came in. And he threw out the first pitch because we got that deal with Leaping Lemonade with Leroy.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Why wouldn't
come on out. You miss Leroy, but you're going to see Robin and have a cold cocktail and watch some baseball.
Buried the lead there in the middle of that great sales pitch. Paul, did you just say that we could bid and buy the Paul Wagner jersey off your back in the middle of the game?
You can do that.
All right. Yeah.
Well, wait a minute.
See you at WBC
Middle of the
Park
game.
tonight. In the middle of the game, we're getting the 46
Do
jersey.
you-
Get that
do
with
you
the
just-
card? With the card?
Do you just finish with the tank top afterwards?
That's awesome.
The wife beater. What do you have on
Shirt off
underneath
his
there?
back.
Or are you shirtless under that thing?
I pulled it off. It might smell a little bit like Old Spice, but I tell you what, it ain't.
That's what we want.
That's what they have in the clubhouse.
That's John's
Yeah.
gonna.
You know they keep that.
I
cheap
want the
stuff in
Jimmy
clubhouse.
Leland jersey that just reeks of
Exactly.
Marb Lights and
Exactly. That's
dripped off coffee.
That's the experience we're talking about.
That's
Sweaty,
elite.
Shirt off your back, and the card. Get him autographed
Yes.
right in the frame, right there.
And make sure you do it tonight because you also get a USA reversible Doc Hounds bucket hat. First 2,000 in
Let's go.
attendance tonight.
That's awesome.
USA,
No.
USA, USA.
One last thing, you said it good. So when we were talking earlier about my jerseys, so my Jimmy Leland jersey, my dad put them in these glass cases. And now that you said that, I bet you after all these years, we could open up that glass case and it'd smell like a damn ashtray.
Yeah, it would blow your whole living room up.
Hey,
Yeah, it would. Oh, yeah. That
Those-
thing is still toxic.
those great Pirates
It's
jerseys were
amazing.
clean look too back then. I like that.
Shirt off Paul Wagner's back can be purchased by you tonight at the Doc Hounds game. Get out to WBC Park now and get ready for the 6:35 first pitch. Wags, appreciate it, man. We'll talk next week.
Awesome.
Take it easy, buddy. That's Paul Wagner. He
Trying
is,
to say bye.
yeah, he's trying. He one of a kind. I mean, like that's an elite experience.
Oh,
Not
man.
only can you get your $1.56 Paul Wagner card signed,
Sure.
you can then also bid to not only support a great cause, buy Paul Wagner's jersey off his back. That's outstanding. Now that's a deal that you'd be running to over at WBC Park. We're running way late for a break. We're back after this. It's 9 to noon with Coon, Billy, and Armin on the game.